Empress of Lycania. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 2. Damien with a fierce strike, my clenched fist connects with his face, sending him reeling backward. Liam grunts in pain as I continue to pummel him. Surprisingly, the fool makes no move to defend himself, merely attempting to shield his face as sparks of anger surge through my entire being. Suddenly, a jolt of electricity courses through me, snapping me out of my blind rage as my mate desperately tries to pull me away from him. Liam's eyes glaze over, and within moments, the door buckles and nearly flies off its hinges from Dustin's powerful kick. The piercing scream of my mate reverberates off the walls as Dustin forcefully yanks me back, causing me to topple over him. Liam groans, slowly sitting up with a split lip and blood streaming from his nose. Yet, despite the visible injuries, an ominous growl escapes my chest uncontrollably. I yearn to end him. Liam wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, panting heavily. Suddenly, a startled squeak echoes from the door. Dustin swiftly moves past me, seizing the girl who had escorted us here and muffling her cry before she can alert security. Dustin shoves her toward Liam, who clamps a hand over her mouth. Liam drags the struggling girl into the room and shuts the door with a forceful kick. "Misunderstanding, love, nothing to worry about, shh," he breathes, letting her go and shoving her toward my mate. Trembling, my mate clasps her hands over her mouth, her eyes filled with horror as she gazes at me. Still consumed by anger, I growl menacingly at her. Deep down, I know it isn't Liam's fault. How could he have known? But my wild raging leak inside thirsts for his blood, furious that he slept with her and that my mate turned out to be involved in such a profession. "Calm down, Damien. We can't draw attention here," Dustin urges, his hands gripping my shirt tightly as I attempt to rise. "I need to get out of here," I seethe through gritted teeth, every instinct urging me to tear the place apart and eliminate anyone who laid a hand on her. The two women take fearful steps backward as I regain my footing, my gaze flicking briefly to my half-naked mate huddled beside them. Sneering involuntarily, I can't help myself. "Put some clothes on. We're leaving," I snarl at her, and she glances at the terrified woman beside her. Clutching her arm, she turns to face Dustin. "Tell me you've obtained what we needed," I snap at Liam, who retrieves some rolled-up files from inside his denim jacket. "It's all here," he replies, catching his breath now that I'm no longer crushing him. His gaze shifts past me, fixating on my mate standing behind me. "What do we do about her?" Liam interjects, pointing towards the other woman who stands frozen with fear beside my mate. Frustration courses through me, knowing that this was not part of our plan. If I take her with us, our presence will be discovered. Yet, abandoning her is not an option either. I clutch my hair in frustration. This was not part of the plan. Kyson is going to lose his mind over this. Command her to remain silent, I instruct Liam, while Dustin rises to his feet. Extending his hand toward the terrified girl, he offers reassurance amidst her overpowering fear that fills the room. "I won't harm you, but you must come with me," Dustin says, his hand hovering in the air as she hesitates, eyeing my mate who is yet to utter a word since screaming during my assault. Ignoring her presence, for fear of losing control once again, I issue a cold warning. Go. I'll be fine, my mate whispers, nudging the girl forward despite the trembling in her own hands. Reluctantly, the girl takes a tentative step forward, but refrains from accepting Dustin's hand. Desperate to escape the room, she is suddenly intercepted by Liam, who drapes his arm around her shoulders, ensuring she doesn't flee. Together, they exit the room, swiftly closing the door behind them. Turning away from the closed door, I focus my attention on my mate. Her body language betrays her vulnerability as she hurriedly covers herself with a blue silk robe. I observe her silently as she slips it on, deftly tying the silk belt around her waist. "What's your name?" I inquire, vaguely recalling that it begins with a T. Advancing towards her, I reach out to grab her, but she leaps onto the bed, eluding my grasp. She scurries across it, attempting to create distance between us. My growl freezes her in place, her eyes darting towards the door. "Run, and you will regret it," I warn her, noticing her gaze lingering on the door. "I asked for your name. Answer me," I snap impatiently. "Tandy." "It's Tandy," she retorts defiantly, surprising me with the fire in her eyes as she glares back at me. It irks me because it isn't like she caught me whoring myself out. Some logical part of me knows I should ask questions, but my Lycan side is pissed that she is a prostitute, which only overshadows any common sense. "Just reject me and be done with it," she snaps, her tone laced with bitterness. Arched brows betray my surprise at her words. Ignoring her harshness, I sigh heavily. "I'm Damien," I inform her, to which she simply nods without offering any further response. Pressing my lips together tightly, I issue a command. "Retrieve your belongings." "We are leaving," I tell her, but she shakes her head in defiance. My jaw clenches, and a snarl escapes me. "It's not up for discussion," I grit out. "I can't leave, so either reject me or I will reject you," she declares, and I laugh incredulously. Would she truly reject her own mate? Someone willing to rescue her from this wretched place? "If you do that, I will mark you on the spot. I am a Lycan. I cannot reject my mate, no matter how much I may want to," I inform her, regretting my words instantly as I witness the hurt in her eyes. I know that my anger has clouded my judgment, leading me to speak recklessly in the face of discovering her circumstances. She swallows, looking at the wall and nodding her head. Despite her wanting me to reject her, I notice the way her eyes turn glassy, as if my words hurt her more than she was willing to admit. "Done, Beta. We can leave when you're ready," Dustin mind links. "Meet me at the car," I instruct them, moving towards my mate. Her eyes widen, and she bolts towards the door. My arm snakes around her waist as she grips the door handle. "Believe me, you don't want me. Just let me go," she growls defiantly. "It's not my choice." "We are leaving," I snap back, and she tosses her head back in frustration. In her haste, her head collides with my nose, causing me to release her as pain shoots through me. Blood spurts from my nose, and I groan while she flings the door open, attempting to escape. I give chase. My fingers tear at the back of her robe, pulling her back as she swiftly pivots. The fabric rips as my claws emerge, and she strikes my face with her palm, causing my head to snap back with the force of the blow. Then, she delivers a knee to my groin. Despite her petite stature, she defends herself admirably. I suppose one would learn a thing or two working in such an establishment. My breathing hitches and my nuts feel like they are suddenly lodged in my throat as I try to breathe around the pain. She races out the door, and I clutch onto a nearby dresser, hauling myself upright before sprinting after her. Looking up the stairs, I see her making her way towards the third floor. I lunge for her, grabbing hold of her ankle on the stairs. She swiftly pivots, delivering a powerful kick to my shoulder that propels me backward, granting her the opportunity to continue her escape. "Stop!" I order, and she freezes as my command rolls over. Yet I can tell she is trying her darndest to fight against. Sweat drips down her forehead as she grits her teeth, clenching her fists by her sides and gasping for breath. Ascending the stairs, I release my command and grasp her wrist firmly, forcefully pulling her back down the steps. "I can't go with you. You don't understand. I have a..." Her sentence is cut short by a noise emanating from the corridor below, causing her to gasp. Security personnel begin to stroll down the red hallway. Their eyes lock onto me, dragging my mate into their line of sight before they launch an attack before I can issue any commands. Reacting swiftly, I dodge an incoming blow, but in doing so, I am forced to release my hold on my mate to prevent any harm to her. Yet, she can be heard racing up the stairs behind me while I find myself locked in combat with the two guards who dare challenge a Lycan. I shrug off my frustration. Perhaps this is an opportunity to release some of the anger coursing through my veins. Damien, unfortunately for my anger, the guards were not much of a challenge. With one swift kick to the head, the first man went down, collapsing in a heap. A throat punch and a quick jab has the second man sprawled over his buddy. I can't help but scoff at their lack of skill. These supposed security guards are nothing more than amateurs. Even a child would put up a better fight and withstand hits better than these men with their glass jaws. Shaking my head in disbelief, I climb the steps, following the intoxicating scent of peaches and cream that lingers in the air. But with each step I take, my frustration grows. Why is she making me hunt her down? The pent-up rage within me intensifies with every passing moment. "I'm fine, Stacy. Just go," her voice echoes through the thin walls as I make my way through the halls. Up on this level, the atmosphere is less refined than the floor below, indicating that this might be where the women live. The paint on the walls flaking and peeling away, giving an air of neglect. The floors beg for a thorough polishing. Above me, the old-style lights flicker and sway, casting an eerie glow as I move down the corridor. A door creaks open, drawing my attention. A woman steps out of a room and quickly closes it behind her as she spins around and catches sight of me. Her gaze drops to the floor, and she hurriedly makes her way to a neighboring room. However, that brief moment when the door was ajar allowed me to catch a strong whiff of my mate's scent wafting out from within. Approaching the door, I grasp the locked handle and twist it until it crumbles in my hand, disintegrating into pieces. I stare at the broken brass doorknob in disdain. Their security system is a joke: incompetent officers and flimsy locks that crumble under the slightest pressure. Shoving the door inward, I hear shuffling inside. My eyes scan the sparsely furnished room until they land on her, standing in the corner next to a tiny bathroom. She is near a crib, where a child wriggles and sucks on a bottle as she rocks him in her arms. I watch as she runs her fingers through his dark black curls. I know she can sense me in the room with her, but she doesn't turn straight away. She continues to settle her child before turning her attention to me. I told you, you don't want me. Just let me set my son down so I don't drop him when you reject me, she pleads, stunning me with her words. She gently places him in the crib, which holds only a few toys and a fraying blanket. But I can't tear my gaze away from the child she places in the crib. I blink in shock. A child, no older than 2 years old, his innocent eyes peering through the wooden bars as he watches his mother. The boy is yours? I ask, feeling my luck plummet even further. My mate is not only entangled in this wretched place but also has a child. As I said, get it over with, she replies with a sad smile, her voice trembling as she takes a step to the side, using her body to shield the child from my view. I stare at the woman, contemplating the implications of this new revelation. Who would have thought that my mate would be a whore and have a child? I can't help it, disgust churns within me. I'm Lycan, I can't reject my mate, I tell her. We can't leave with you. I've already lost my daughter. I won't risk losing my son, so you need to leave before they catch you here, she says urgently, her breath catching as her heartbeat quickens. You have another child? I demand, appalled that someone would harm an innocent life. She watches me for a second and then answers while turning slightly to gaze down at her son. They killed her when she was 4. I tried to escape with her. I won't make that mistake again, she murmurs, her eyes welling up with tears as she plays with her son's hair. Who killed her? I ask. Her father did, she says with the most subtle sniffle that I almost miss it. I glance at the crib and nod, a surge of anger coursing through me. Pack your things. We are leaving, I demand. Did you not hear what I just said? I am not risking my son, she growls, her protective instincts kicking in. Yet, her instincts are wrong. I am her mate and I won't allow harm to come to her or her kid, despite him not being mine. You can bring him. He will be safe at the castle. You'll be safe with me, and so will your son, I assure her, trying to reason with her. She scoffs. Nowhere is safe, she mutters, swiping a stray tear while shaking her head. Safe doesn't exist for those like us, she whispers, her voice trailing off and growing smaller. What could be safer than being with a Lycan? I snap, frustrated by her resistance and her thinking I'm incapable of protecting her. His father is one, she retorts, and I blink in astonishment. My eyes dart back to the crib where the boy lies. Though he is still too young to distinguish sense, his is mingled with hers, masking any trace of his true lineage. Who is the father? I ask, and she shakes her head, too afraid to mention his name. His father doesn't matter, what matters is you leaving before he catches you here. Who is the father, Tandy? I repeat. I'm not leaving without you, or without knowing, so answer, or I will sit and wait for him, I warn her. She grits her teeth and curses under her breath. Counsel Elder Larkin. Elder Larkin is Hunter's father, she replies, her words hitting me like a bolt of lightning. My eyebrows shoot up so high they almost disappear into my hairline. Still believe we are safe with you, she dares to question, and this time I scoff. He killed his daughter. I question, disbelief dripping from every word. If that is true, it will be a surefire way to bring down the council. No, Alpha Brock killed her. Paige was Alpha Brock's daughter from Shadow Pack, Tandy explains, her voice tinged with sadness and anger. I'm well aware of who Alpha Brock is. He's half the reason I'm here. We're investigating the rogue murders and searching for trafficked rogues, I respond firmly. Well, you're looking at one. I was from Alpha Brock's pack. I lived in the orphanage run by Mrs. Daly, Tandy reveals, shocking me further. You were from the orphanage? I ask, my voice filled with a mix of surprise and concern. Yes, I was sold to Crux when I was 16 and have worked here ever since, she confesses, swallowing hard. Despite her youthful appearance, she has endured years of suffering in this place since she was just a child herself. I know you're frightened, but grab your son. I will keep both of you safe. Larkin won't lay a finger on him once the king deals with the council, I reassure her, determined to protect her and her child. You know the king? She asks, her voice filled with hope and curiosity. I'm his beta. You'll like the king, he is good. He won't allow any harm to come to you. But you may just be the key we need to bring down the council and the alphas helping them, I explain confidently. Will he stop Larkin from taking my son? He can do that, she whispers, her eyes fixed on her son as he struggles to stand. Yes, I reply firmly. But the council holds power over the king, she murmurs, her gaze shifting to me. They don't hold power over the Empress though. The king, yes. But they can't resist the Landeena Empress, I tell her, and her brows furrow. Landeena? I've heard that name before, she ponders, her brows furrowing in thought. Well, you should have. The Landeena family is mentioned in every history book, I reply matter-of-factly. No, I mean here. Mr. Crux, he is a Landeena, she states, but I am well aware of this fact already. Yes, but he doesn't carry the name nor inherit the power that comes with it. He was an illegitimate child of Garrett's brother, I clarify, realizing that time is of the essence. We need to leave before the security guards downstairs wake up or more come. But he is a Landeena, nonetheless, she states. Yes, but Garrett's brother was never blessed the way Garrett was. Only the firstborn of each bloodline, and Garrett was the first Lycan created along with Azure the Princess Tatiana. That bloodline is powerful but only those born from Garrett and Tatiana. Crux doesn't carry the name because he didn't inherit the power that came with it, he just likes to throw it around like it will make him more important, but legally he goes by his mother's bloodline name, I explain, not that I have time, we need to leave, preferably now. Unable to wait for her decision, I walk over to Tandy, gently pushing her aside and scooping up her son. She shrieks and attacks me momentarily, fearing for her child's safety as I grab him. However, I pull away, placing him on my hip. If you want your son, get dressed and follow me. I'm heading to the castle whether you come or not. Either way your son is coming with me, I declare firmly, knowing that she will follow if not for herself, then for the sake of her child. Tandy glances around the room anxiously, reaching out for her son. But I pull away slightly before leaning into his crib and grabbing his bottle and blanket. Just get changed, I can arrange everything else you need, I instruct her calmly. Tandy wastes no time, hastily throwing on a sweater and jeans before stuffing a bag full of essential baby items, which isn't much, but her son has more than she does. Please, she pleads, her hands outstretched for her son. I pass him into her waiting arms, and she clutches him close like he is her lifeline. Stay close, I say gently, opening the door and checking the hall. I feel her small hands grip the back of my shirt, and without hesitation, I reach down and hold her hand firmly. Together, we hurry towards the stairs leading to the ground floor. However, the moment we step onto the staircase, the piercing sound of gunfire shatters the air. Instinctively, I push Tandy back behind a wall. Pain sears through my shoulder as a bullet strikes me. Stay down and stay hidden, I growl, my voice filled with urgency. My clothes tear as I shift, my body transforming into that of my Lycan. I launch myself down the steps, attacking with ferocity as the mind link opens up. We heard shots, Dustin's voice echoes in my mind. Get Liam in here, I command, slashing my claws across the throat of one of our assailants. Blood sprays across the walls as another gunshot finds its mark, hitting me in the hip. With the adrenaline pumping through my veins, I barely feel it and rush through the closest door, as gunshots suddenly ring out. Liam! I scream desperately through the mind link, knowing that I can't take on all of them when they are armed and I can't see them all. Panic surges within me as I duck behind a bed, bullets whistling above my head as they tear through the walls. And then I hear him. "You-hoo, ladies," Liam's voice calls out from the hallway, his tone oddly playful. I lift my head slightly, peering through the half-blown-out wall. From the gaps, I can see around 4 or 5 men in the hall holding guns. "Get out of here, you'll be refunded," one of the security guards says. "But I'm not here for the girls," Liam responds, his voice filled with mischief. It almost sounds as if he is pouting. The guards point their guns in his direction, ready to aim. Sensing an opportunity, I get onto my hands and knees, waiting for the guard closest to the door to turn fully towards Liam. "What is Liam up to? State your business. Why are you here?" a gruff voice demands. "For you, of course," Liam chuckles, his voice carrying a devilish undertone. Suddenly, the guard nearest to the door drops to the ground, a knife lodged in his throat, and he gurgles a breath. Chaos erupts, and in the midst of it all, Liam's laughter echoes through the air. Seizing the moment, I lunge at the guards, crashing through the wall and tackling one. "She's upstairs, Dustin!" I call out urgently, my fists connecting with another guard's face as Dustin blurs past me, effortlessly leaping over my hulking form. Gripping the man's head between my hands, I twist with a swift motion, snapping his neck before pouncing on another. "Find them!" Liam yells over the noise as I take down the man. With Liam keeping them busy, I hunt for Dustin and my mate, only to find them upstairs trying to find another way down. "Clear!" Dustin yells, storming into the room, his gun at the ready, and I duck just as he fires at me, not hearing me come through the side door of the room they're in. He lets out a breath. Warning, next time, I nearly shot you, Dustin growls. We need to go, now. I growl, shifting back to my human form. Bullets riddled Lycan form, but none had penetrated my organs thankfully, though I can feel some in me, my body healing before I can remove them. Lammy, we got company. Liam warns through the mind link. Don't call me Lammy. I growl, hating that nickname. I had a stuffed lamb plushie as a kid that I still have, and Liam likes to taunt me for it, like I don't know if he still has Dustin's stuffed teddy from when he found Dustin as a kid. I grab Tandy's hand. Move. I yell at her, not bothering with niceties as I limp down the staircase from the bullet still lodged in my hip grinding against bone. You good? Liam asks, wiping the blood from his knife as he peers up the stairs where I can hear footsteps rushing toward us from some higher up levels. They're from next door. There is a bridge that links the two buildings, Tandy says, peering up at the roof. Let's go, I grunt. Liam's eyes drop to us and his eyes widen at the sight of us as he takes us in, but wisely says nothing as he jerks his head towards the door. But I see the worry on his face as he glances at the kid in Tandy's arms. Go, I'll distract them, Liam announces, racing past us and down the stairs. Liam! I roar after him, but he merely waves a hand over his shoulder before disappearing. We need to go, Dustin urges, shoving me out the door first before ushering Tandy and her son out next. Damien hesitates, and I know he wants to help Liam. Now Damien, Liam will kill me if I let you run in after him, he can handle himself, I remind him, and he nods, rushing out too. Bullets whiz past us, as we rush across the parking lot, only to hear someone hit the ground, causing us to glance up at the shooters on the roof. Liam has their attention as he tosses one off the roof. Dustin and I don't break stride, reaching the car while simultaneously using our bodies to shield Tandy and her son. Black one, Dustin tells her, hitting the key fob. I open the rear door, shoving her in, and Dustin jumps in the front. He revs the engine to life as I climb before peeling away from the brothel. What about Liam? Tandy asks, and I growl when I catch her staring out the rear window. He'll be fine, the prick has 9 lives, stay down. I tell her before digging my claws into my shoulder, trying to remove the bullet lodged there. Yet I swear that man was supposed to be a cat, Dustin chuckles when Tandy shrieks, seeing blood spurt from my shoulder as I remove it. Then, I twist, looking for the one buried in my ribs, making them throb. You're bleeding, she panics. Stay down, I growl, shoving her body back down. I'll heal, keep him covered, I mutter. But I glare at her over my shoulder. Not the time, I growl as the bullet finally gives way between my fingers. It pops, making me gasp. Before I can say anything else, my vision blurs, and the world tilts and then goes black. I wake up goddess only knows how long later with Liam peering over the top of me, his knife digging the bullets out of me. I hear a clink of metal on metal. Another, Liam says to someone. Try not to break it, Dustin says, as my eyes open to see him peering over Liam's shoulder. You took some metal, Liam laughs, and Dustin lets out a breath. Sitting up, I peer around trying to remember what happened, when I'm suddenly on my feet looking for my mate. Dustin wanders to the couch, falling on it. Where is she? I panic. Tandy's in the shower, Dustin says, pointing to the bathroom door. Where are we? I ask, clutching my head, not recognizing the room. Not far from home, we drove through most of the night, only stopping for gas and now to get the rest of those bullets out of you, Dustin explains. You aren't as bulletproof as you thought. Your leakin' took a lot, but you healed too quickly, leaving half them. Liam holds up a bullet and then shows me another. I realize they are wolfsbane pellets. Leaning back against the headboard, my eyes move to Dustin. We can't stay long, we need to get back home, I tell him, and he nods when Hunter stirs. He cries out, making us all jump. Dustin peers over his shoulder, and I notice the boy sitting up on the bed, rubbing his eyes. Hunter peers around at us, all staring at him before opening his mouth and screaming for his mother. I force myself up and grab him only for him to let out an ear-piercing scream just as I hear the water cut off. SHH, she'll be back, I won't hurt you, I tell the kid, sitting him on my hip as I hunt for his bottle in the blankets. Liam finds and snatches it, rushing off. See, Uncle Liam will make you another one, I tell him, and he calms down just as Tandy comes bursting through the bathroom door in a panic. What did you do to him? She shrieks, rushing over to take him. Maybe it's the fact that I took several bullets, or perhaps it's because I've had a long day, but I don't like her tone or her implication that I was hurting her son. She snatches him from me, and I am about to protest when she suddenly slaps my face. Blood fills my mouth as my head whips to the side, and I hear Dustin gasp at what she did just. Just then, I see Liam stop at the door in shock with a bottle in his hand. You don't touch my son, Tandy sneers at me before turning her attention to her son and checking him over like she seriously thought I hurt him. I grit my teeth. Liam. I force out between my teeth, and he rushes forward with Hunter's bottle. How about Uncle Liam take the brat? Liam says, not giving her a choice when he plucks him out of her arms. Hey, what do you? Her words cut off, and Liam rushes out of the room with him as I grab her. You dare hit? What? I growl in her face. I was trying to comfort him, what is your freaking problem? He's not yours to comfort, she snaps, yanking out of my grip, but my arm wraps around her waist, crushing her against me. She thrashes. Damien? Dustin asks, and I cut a glare at him. He lifts his hand, backing out of the room as I start walking her backward toward the bed. He knows I won't hurt her, but I also won't tolerate her hitting me. I slam her down on the bed as she tries to cover herself. She whimpers as I tower over her. You can't just... Ouch! She whimpers as I push her wrists above her head with one hand and squeeze her thigh to keep her in place. You better apologize for that, I growl in her face as she cowers back as my grip on her wrists tightens. Ow, you're hurting me, she whines and I squeeze a little harder before growling. Apologize. She whimpers but meets my glare with her own. I'll apologize when you stop manhandling me, she snaps back and I let go of her wrists, grabbing her chin instead between my fingers. I said apologize. How was I supposed to know you weren't hurting him? He was crying, and I came out to find you holding him. That is not an apology. Fine, you. Now get off me, she spits in my face. I clench my teeth. Suddenly, my senses are filled with the taste of her saliva as it mixes with my blood. I feel the warm fluid of her spit on my face and growl, earning a wide-eyed and petrified stare from her. Yet, that doesn't stop the fact that I somehow feel turned on by her defiance. I wipe my face with my hand and she uses that slight movement to try to escape and scramble out from under me, but I'm faster. I grab her ankle, only she kicks at me, making me grunt. I reach out, only managing to grab and tear the towel from her body. Fine, you want to play it this way. I snarl, reaching for her, dragging her closer, and pressing my weight down on her. She thrashes beneath me, trying to toss me off before exhausting herself when she realizes it is pointless fighting me. Yet the feel of her skin touching my chest makes me look down, taking in the way with every breath she takes, the flush on her cheeks from both arousal and anger as sparks course all over where her skin touches mine. She looks away from me, biting her lower lip as she tries to hide how affected she is by this situation. But I can see it all over her body language, the quickened breathing, the dilated pupils, the way she's attempting to hide from me. She may hate me, but she feels the bond as strongly as I do. She squirms under my gaze, and I can almost taste her desperation to escape in the air. My teeth elongate as a snarl tears from me. I notice the tears pricking her eyes before she clenches them shut with a whimper. Her body tenses underneath mine, bracing for something she doesn't want but believes is inevitable. You can fight it all you want, but that won't change the fact that we are destined to be together. I can smell your arousal just as clearly as I can smell your fear. So, shall we stop fighting, or do I really have to make you submit? If you are going to mate me, do it. Stop playing around and get it over with, she hisses, causing me to growl again, this time in frustration. I lean close to her ear and whisper. I am not a mindless beast to mate you for the sake of the bond. You may think it, but I won't force myself on you. She turns her gaze to meet mine, and I thrust my hips against her heat. She gasps. Not that I couldn't if I wanted to, I warn her. Her lip quivers and she nods once, averting her gaze. However, I am not a monster, I tell her. But I can't help myself. Lowering my head, I lick the blood from her neck where I accidentally scratched her, and she tastes even better than I imagined. My body comes to life against her thigh and she moans at the feel of my tongue on her body. Pulling back, I watch her neck heal, her eyes glazed over in lust from the endorphins in my saliva healing her. Never slap me again, or I won't be held responsible for my actions. Understood? Why yes, she stutters, her voice breathy from the lust coursing through her veins. I could have taken her right then and there, but I don't want it like this. If you ever question my intentions again, I won't be so nice, I growl, her breathing heavy as she pants. Fine, I apologize for accusing you of hurting him, she stammers out, and I can tell she doesn't mean it, but a small part of me still accepts it, knowing she probably knows nothing but cruelty. Pulling back, I stare at her for a second, then let her go. She scurries off the bed, grabbing her discarded towel and wrapping it around her naked figure. Get dressed, we are leaving soon, I tell her, and she storms off to the bathroom, slamming the door. Azalea Kyson tends to the crackling fire while I sit at the table, engrossed in trying to read the ancient maps set in front of me. His voice fills the room as he passionately explains each kingdom's significance, history, and intricate relationships. To my untrained ears, it all sounds like a foreign language, but I am determined to try and understand and follow what he is explaining. He also unpacks the tangled relationships between Esther and Trey, and how Marissa was my father's mate. That piece of information explained why I never saw her shift, although I can't fathom why Marissa and Jordan didn't make an effort to save themselves. They could have easily overpowered Alpha Dean's pack, given their Lycan status. There are also gaps in his explanations that puzzle me. He walks back to join me on the sofa. Kaisen starts idly braiding my hair. The atmosphere is comfortable. Kaisen appears almost lobotomized. Whatever Damien had said to him has transformed his demeanor entirely. His fingers brushing against the back of my neck sends a shiver down my spine and causes me to cringe slightly at the ticklish sensation. I know I'm treading dangerously, but something has been playing on my mind all afternoon. So I decide to ask. Can I ask you something? I inquire, leaning back and resting my head on his thigh. He hums noncommittally, tipping my head forward so he can finish braiding my hair. You mentioned you commanded Esther, right? He grunts in agreement again, and I furrow my brows in thought. Through our bond, it's clear he isn't fond of this line of questioning. How strongly did you command her? Quite firmly, enough for her to collapse if she lied, he replies casually. Why do you ask? Just some things aren't adding up for me, I confess. Like what? For starters, why didn't Marissa shift when Alpha Dean's men attacked? If she was a Lycan, she should have been able to kill them with ease, I point out. He falls silent for a moment, clearly deep in thought. I've wondered about that too. But Garrett died, that might have affected her Lycan side. Lycans weaken drastically after their mate dies. Most don't survive the loss, and if she had sired you, that could have been the only reason she was still alive, Kaisen suggests, and I sigh in frustration. But what about Esther not recognizing her? She did recognize her. Marissa threatened to expose the truth about Peter if Esther betrayed her. That doesn't make sense, though. Landeenas have immunity, you would have had to protect Peter regardless. Marissa must have known this, it doesn't seem like a credible threat, I argue, and his fingers pause again. I found that odd, too. Maybe Esther didn't want Peter to become a target for hunters. I shake my head in disagreement. What safer place than being protected by the King's Guard? Is that why Marissa refused to fight for me? She mentioned as much, but if so, why didn't she leave me with Kaisen? She must have known he was looking for her and the council. I think you're overthinking it, Kaisen says dismissively. Esther was under my command, she couldn't resist it. Unless she drank Landeena's blood. I suggest tentatively, but Kaisen shakes his head in denial. Peter hasn't shifted yet, it doesn't work like that. His alpha aura is missing, too, because his bloodline is diluted. His blood wouldn't affect her against my command, he explains patiently while I nibble on my lip in thought. The answer is on the tip of my tongue, something isn't right, and I can almost feel it in my bones. Stress is making you overthink, Kaisen suggests, tipping my head back. But one thing continues to replay in my mind, and I'm almost certain of it. I think Marissa was framed, I whisper, and Kaisen tips my head back again, forcing me to look up at him. You're not defending that woman. What if I am? It feels wrong. I know Marissa, and she loved me. She would never hurt me like that. She's sired to you. Of course, she loves you. You kept her alive, Kaisen growls, dipping his face and nipping at my lips, but I turn my face before he can deepen it. Kaisen sighs. I don't want to fight over this, Azzy. Please. We're having a great afternoon. Don't ruin it, he says, and I swallow hard. Despite that, my mind is made up now more than ever before. Marissa didn't do it. Now the challenge is finding a way to prove it because Kaisen refuses to believe he has been wrong all these years that they got it wrong. But how do I explain her killing all those children or his sister? I get it, you want to see good in the woman who raised you, but, no. It's not that. The more I think about it, little things keep popping up, and now I regret not questioning Esther myself. You don't trust what she said under my command? Kaisen asks incredulously. My brows furrow. And are you sure you commanded her, and she couldn't have resisted? No doubt. I ask him, he falls quiet. I am sure, Azzy, please no more talking about it tonight, let's just enjoy the evening without worrying about the drama in our lives. He gets up, muttering to himself, walking toward his bar in the corner. I hate when you drink, I tell him, and he stops, glancing at me over his shoulder. I'm only having one. It's never just one, you know that. You think I don't notice how much you drank after the I trail off, shaking my head. Don't go there, Azalea, I scold myself. It helps. Helps get you drunk and turn into an asshat, I retort, turning back to the maps that are hard for me to read but which I have a general understanding of by their mountains. When I look up at him again, he's shaking his head, pouring himself a glass. I click my tongue. I won't mention anything else tonight if you put the glass down, I suggest, tilting my head to the side watching him. And if I drink it? He asks, turning with the glass in his hands. But I know he drinks because it numbs him and also helps dampen his urges. Still, it isn't a permanent solution. Glancing around the room, my eyes land on a bookshelf. Read to me. You want me to read? He wonders aloud as he wanders over to the bookcase but then puts down his glass on the coffee table as he picks out a book. Rapunzel. I shake my head. Prince and the Pauper. I shrug. He pulls it down before retrieving his glass, and I press my lips together in disapproval. He moves over to the bed, propping pillows up before sitting down. Only then does he see me glaring at him from across the room. It's one glass, he growls, patting his chest. I raise an eyebrow at him, moving toward the bed and climbing into his lap. When he picks up his glass again, I snatch it from him, gulping down its contents, fighting back an urge to spit out the burning liquid onto his face. It tastes like jet fuel. It's absolutely disgusting. So disgusting that it must not be whiskey, but something much stronger. Well, that's what you get for stealing my drink, he says as I cough and sputter. He deposits me beside him, getting up to take the glass back to the bar. Jumping off the bed, I swipe the bottle before he grabs it. Azalea, you can't drink all of that. You'll be on the floor after barely a quarter, he growls angrily. I tip the bottle to my lips, already cringing from its strong smell. Go on then, I'll grab it when you pass out, he says, folding his arms across his chest. I suck in a deep breath, wondering if holding my breath will make it not burn or taste so bad. I chug some down, feeling like I'm drinking lava, and my eyes water before I gasp for air, choking and coughing. It could definitely be used as some kind of fuel. Kaisen reaches for the bottle. I snatch it away, and he growls at me, but I growl back at him. Azalea, nope. Every drink you drink, I drink then, I tell him, a mischievous glint in my eye. In response, he snarls, his canines slipping out. And according to my calculations, it will take your entire bar for me to catch up with what you've drunk in the last week, I tell him, a smirk playing on my lips. Azalea Ivy Rose Landeena, give me the bottle. Kaisen scolds me like I'm a child, his voice laced with frustration. Make me. I challenge, defiantly swallowing another mouthful of the liquid in question. Surprisingly, it doesn't burn this time. Maybe I scorched my throat and tongue so badly that it killed the nerves? Nevertheless, the more I drink of it, the easier it goes down until it's like drinking water. As I reach the quarter mark, as Kaisen had mentioned, the room begins to sway slightly. My belly feels queasy, and a wave of heat washes over me. I stumble towards the window, desperate for some fresh air. The fire in my veins makes me feel like I'm overheating. But the movement is not in my best interest. I stumble, feeling as if my body is weighed down by lead. What is this stuff? I manage to slur out, my words barely coherent. Sunset rum, and it is 85% alcohol. You usually mix it. You're lucky to be standing still with how much you've drunk. If you weren't leakin', you would be on the floor, Kaisen growls at me, his frustration evident as he reaches for the bottle. But I pull it back before he can snatch it from my grasp. Well, on the floor I go. I retort stubbornly, taking another swig of the potent liquid before he manages to wrestle it away from me. As I sway backward, I don't even realize I am falling until his strong arms catch me around the waist. No more, he growls, nipping at my neck in a mix of anger and concern. I don't like it when you drink. I slur, my words muddled by the alcohol coursing through my veins. And I don't like you drinking, he snaps back, his voice filled with worry. But then, his tone softens. Fine, I won't drink, but you don't either. That was stupid, he says, placing the bottle on the bar before scooping me up effortlessly. My senses are hazy, and I can't feel my face or my tongue as I try to feel it between my teeth. Azalea, you'll bite your tongue off. Kaisen snaps, panic lacing his voice as he jams his fingers into my mouth to prevent me from hurting myself. What? I try to speak around his finger, but it invades my mouth. My speech is slurred and incomprehensible. He growls in frustration before suddenly jerking back, sucking on his index finger, which is now bleeding. Confusion washes over me until I see my own teeth marks on his finger. I did that. I manage to utter in disbelief. You think? He retorts sarcastically, shaking his head before guiding me towards the bed. He lays me down gently, but I feel so heavy, weighed down by the effects of the potent drink. How could anyone enjoy feeling like this? It's so disorienting. Kaisen moves away from me momentarily, and I struggle to keep my eyes open as darkness threatens to swallow me whole. Kaisen, I slur, attempting to roll my head, which feels like a bowling ball on my shoulders. I'm just going to chuck another log on the fire. I watch him, waiting for him to sneak back to his bar. Surprisingly, he doesn't. Instead, he climbs back into bed beside me, and I retrieve the book we had been reading earlier. He drags my dead-weight body on top of him before opening the book. "Don't do that again," he whispers, his lips brushing against my forehead. My eyelids feel impossibly heavy as I struggle to stay awake while he reads, but darkness engulfs me after just a few minutes. The following morning, I am abruptly woken by the mind link. Damien is trying to wake Kaisen, and my head pounds mercilessly. Groggily sitting up, I find Kaisen still dead to the world when a knock on the door startles me. Dragging myself from the bed, I answer the door with groggy confusion. Trey stands on the other side, and I blink up at him, trying to make sense of the situation. "What's wrong?" I ask before quickly mind-linking Damien. "Damien, stop. I'm up. I'll wake him, but stop yelling," I tell him, my thoughts filled with a mix of annoyance and exhaustion. "I'm not yelling. Wake him up. I'm downstairs, and we have an issue," Damien mind links back sternly. I refocus my attention on Trey. Trey sniffs me suspiciously. "You've been drinking?" he asks, his voice tinged with concern. Stupidly, "Yes. Help me wake Kaisen." Damien was mind-linking, I admit, feeling a sense of guilt wash over me. Pushing the door open wider, I let Trey inside. He moves towards the bed and shakes Kaisen awake while I quickly retrieve my robe. But Trey's sudden shriek catches my attention, and I glance at him in surprise as Kaisen hugs him tightly, almost crushing Trey against his chest. Trey manages to push himself free from Kaisen's grip, clearly bewildered. "Stop, Azzy," Kaisen mumbles, his voice filled with sleep and confusion. I can't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation as Kaisen suddenly sniffs Trey's hair, causing Trey to recoil. Kaisen's eyes fly open, and Trey goes flying as panic courses through the bond as he lurches upright. His eyes go to me, and he lets out a breath, noticing I am fine, before glaring at Trey. "Why were you in my bed?" Kaisen snaps, rubbing his eyes. "I was waking you up, not climbing into bed with you," Trey retorts, his frustration evident as he gets to his feet. He shakes his head, muttering under his breath about Alpha Kings. Kaisen glares at Trey's retreating figure before turning his attention back to me. "What's going on?" "Damien needs you downstairs," I inform Kaisen, my own headache intensifying with each passing moment. "He's back?" Kaisen asks, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "You were drinking." Kaisen shakes his head in disbelief. "No. You did enough of that to affect my bond." "Thanks for the headache," Kaisen says sarcastically, getting to his feet. He grabs a shirt and quickly pulls it on before walking over to me. He kisses my head tenderly before tying my robe together. "Are you coming?" "I'm allowed?" "I thought I would have to fight you to go down there," I reply, my voice laced with a mixture of surprise and relief. "You wouldn't win," he chuckles softly. "Really?" I challenge playfully. He hums, grabbing my hand gently. I reckon I could take you, I tease, a smirk playing on my lips. I reckon you could try, he laughs, leading me out of the room. He kisses the back of my hand before leading me downstairs. He yawns and shakes his head. I was actually having a good sleep until Trey climbed into my bed to snuggle with me, he growls, his annoyance evident. I did no such thing. And you're a terrible hugger, Trey retorts. Azalea doesn't mind, Kyson says, his voice filled with affection. Yet, probably because you didn't crush her in your armpit like you did to me, Trey interjects, causing both of us to chuckle as they continue to bicker. When we hear a commotion outside, I can see cars lined up, and the sound of Damien arguing with someone reaches my ears. Stepping outside, I find Damien engaged in a heated argument with a woman, the car door blocking my view of her face, but for some reason, her voice is familiar. Woman! How many times do I have to tell you? I am the king's beta. I live here. What do you think? I would bring you here if I didn't. Damien snaps angrily. Suddenly, the sound of a crying child fills the air. Great! Now you woke him, Damien mutters, standing upright and revealing the toddler in his arms. Give him here. Give me my son, the woman demands, her voice filled with desperation and anger. No. Do you want him? Then get out of the car. Damien retorts firmly, his frustration palpable. Man, they have done nothing but push and fight the entire way back, Liam groans, clearly exasperated by the situation. Fine. But if your king abuses me for trespassing, you can bet you I will hoop his, the feisty woman warns defiantly. Good. Hoop his ass. He is right behind you. Let's see what you got, short stuff. Damien challenges her, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The woman turns around suddenly, her movements swift and fierce. I gasp and rock back on my heels as recognition washes over me. She still has the same face, though she has aged, she is more womanly than scrawny like she was at the orphanage. What is going on? Kyson growls, his tone filled with both confusion and concern. Damien rubs a hand down his face wearily, looking both exhausted and defeated. Kyson, this is Tandy. Tandy, this is His Royal Highness, King Kyson, the one you want to beat, Damien mocks, but my attention is fixated on the woman before me. Our eyes meet, and her mouth opens and closes like a fish out of water. Taylor. I choke out, barely able to believe my own words. Ivy, she stammers in shock. Taylor. Damien says, taken aback. But my feet are already moving as I race towards her. Oh my gosh, it's really you. I shriek with joy, throwing my arms around her in a tight embrace. What are you doing here? Taylor cries, clutching me just as tightly. Tears stream down both of our faces as we hold each other tightly. Wait. What about Abby? She asks, holding me at arm's length to search my face for answers. She's here. I can't believe you're alive. I cry, my voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and overwhelming happiness. I cup Taylor's face in my hands, cherishing this long-awaited reunion. Hang on, what is going on? Who is Taylor? Damien interrupts, his confusion evident in his voice. I tear my gaze away from Taylor to look at Damien, a smile still plastered on my face. Azalea. Damien stares at me, his brow furrow in confusion, mirroring my own bewilderment. What does he mean? Who is Taylor? She is standing right in front of him, so why does he seem so perplexed? Hello, can someone tell me what is going on? Did you give me your whore name? Damien demands, his voice laced with frustration. My breath hitches at the derogatory term he used for her, and yet she doesn't back down from him. In fact, she snarls, spinning on her heel to meet his gaze with a fiery glare. I'm Taylor, she snaps, her words dripping with defiance. It's my birth name. The name I go by now is my middle name. Damien takes an involuntary step back, his expression pained, as if her words had struck a nerve. And I want you to hand over my son before you drop him, Taylor growls, extending her arms toward the air, a desperate plea in her voice. Not until I know you're not going to run off on me again, Damien retorts, his tone laced with caution. As I glance at the bundled-up toddler sleeping peacefully in Damien's arms, I notice a smirk forming on Liam's face. He exchanges glances with Dustin before chuckling under his breath. Give me my son, you prick, before I cut your balls off, she snarls at him, pulling my attention away from Dustin, who I am still yet to release from my command. Using the mind link, I send Trey a message telling him to get to Abby and bring her here as soon as possible. A few seconds later, he darts back inside the castle as he rushes away from beside me. Whoa, hold on a minute. What is happening? Who is she? Why is she here? Kyson interjects, his voice filled with confusion. Damien is the one to respond, his weariness evident in his voice. Tandy, Taylor, whatever you want to call her, she used to be one of the girls from the brothel, Damien sighs, rubbing a hand across his face while still cradling the child. He winces as he rocks the toddler as if experiencing physical pain. Damien huffs and looks rather exhausted, as if he has tried to explain this story to everyone 1,000 times. She is also my mate, Damien says, scrubbing a hand down his face while holding the child closer and rocking him with one arm, wincing as he does so. Tandy, I don't go by Taylor anymore. She died a long time ago, Taylor says, and I get that. To me, Ivy feels dead, too. I understand that feeling all too well. Ivy, the person I used to be, is like a distant memory. I no longer identify with that name or the person I once was. The experiences of the past few months have transformed me into someone entirely different. Having experienced so much in the past few months, I don't believe it will ever be possible for me to relate to the person I once was. Kyson gapes at Damien in disbelief, his shock impossible to conceal. Yet, it is less surprising to me that Taylor is Damien's mate than it is to discover she is still alive after all this time. Mrs. Daly had told us she was dead, so learning she had been forced into a brothel is horrifying. What the heck is going on around here? Seems like everyone is finding their mates these days. So much for it being a rare occurrence, Kyson mutters, nudging me playfully. Yeah, I don't want to be catching that disease. I will need to get me some mate repellent. Ain't that right, Dusty Poo? Liam chimes in, joining our conversation. Dustin clearly doesn't appreciate the nickname Liam threw his way and retaliates by flipping him off while Damien glares at him. I wonder what Liam said to make Damien so upset. Well, Tandy, I'm Azalea. Nice to see you again, I smile. Her brows furrow in confusion, and she looks at me oddly. Why does that name sound so familiar to me? She ponders. And what are you doing here, and where is Abby? She asks, trying to take her son from Damien, but Damien holds him higher, not allowing it. It's a long story, and Abby. I smile to myself as I hear her coming up behind us. The sound of hurried footsteps catches my attention, and I turn to see Abby stopping in her tracks as she stumbles out of the door. In a state of shock, Trey grips her arm to keep her steady as her mouth opens and closes in shock. As Abby looks at me with the same shock that I felt upon seeing Taylor, I find myself sputtering as I see the look on her face. She looks at me for confirmation, as if she doesn't believe what she's seeing. Several steps behind her, Gannon and Tyson emerge from the castle. I watch as Abby's lip quivers when I nod to her, telling her that Taylor is here before her feet are moving quickly, and she collides with Tandy. There is barely enough time for Tandy to catch her before Abby's legs and arms are wrapped around her. I thought you were dead, Abby gushes, squeezing her tight, and I move closer. Taylor, who is now Tandy, reaches over, squishing us together as she embraces us. How are you here? Abby says, placing her feet down as tears stream down her face. Kyson, Gannon, and Damien all just stand there gawking at us while we fuss over each other when Tandy turns to Damien and pins him with her glare. My son now. I did what you asked, she says, earning a look from Damien. But it is Gannon who nudges Damien to hand her son back. Give her son back. She looks like she bites, like an angry gremlin, Gannon mumbles. She does. She's already bitten me twice while throwing a fit, Damien growls irritably as he reluctantly relinquishes the child. You have a child. Abby gasps, peering into the blankets to catch a glimpse of the sleeping toddler in Tandy's arms. Turning towards Gannon, she extends her arms, silently indicating that she wants to hold Tyson. As Gannon passes Tyson to Abby, the little boy squirms and reaches out for her. The sight of Abby cradling her son, reunited with our long-lost friend, fills me with both relief for Tandy and Abby and longing for the life I lost. Azalea, who is this little one? Tandy asks while reaching out and gripping Tyson's little fingers as Abby holds him. I swallow, in their joyful chatter about their little ones, I stand on the outskirts. Tandy's grip on Tyson's tiny fingers feels like a reminder of what I have lost, the little fingers I will never get to touch. The warmth of Tyson's chest against my back only amplifies the ache in my heart, his breath on my neck a bittersweet caress. One day, my love, he says, and I nod at his words. He pulls me closer as if he can shield me from the heartache I feel right now. Yet as Kyson holds me close, his touch tracing the outline of where my belly used to be round with life, I can't help but feel the emptiness within me grow. His arms around me are both comforting and suffocating, my own hands now cradling nothing but a hollow space beneath my clothes. His arms circle my waist, his hands sliding over the backs of my hands as he laces his fingers through mine. I let out a breath, looking up at him as he leans down and rests his chin on my shoulder. He pecks my cheek, and I turn my attention away from them to Damien, who is watching his newfound mate worriedly. I focus on him, not wanting to see them bond over their babies while my arms lay empty. While happiness for them brims in my heart, it is overshadowed by the raw grief that engulfs me. Their world of baby coos and parental bliss feels distant and unreachable as I grapple with the void left by my own loss. What's wrong? I ask Damien, who snaps himself out of his thoughts, to look at me. Gannon, Abby, take Tandy to my quarters and help her settle in, please. I need a word with the king and queen, Damien says, and Tandy's head whips to the side to stare at me. Her eyes widen when recognition hits her at what Damien called me like it escaped her earlier when I mentioned it. Azalea, Queen Azalea Landeena, I knew I heard that name, she exclaims. You have heard of the Landeenas? I ask her, shocked, because I know she can't read like us unless she has since learned. Yes, of course, she says when Kyson huffs behind me. Everyone has. It is in every history book, love. You and Abby were the only ones oblivious to who they were, who you are, he purrs beside my ear when Tandy speaks up while shaking her head. No, I can't read. No, I heard the name at the brothel when hunters come in sometimes. Amazing the things you hear when you aren't supposed to be listening, she says, blowing out a breath. Hunters? Kyson asks her, lifting his head to look at her. Yeah, the ones that work for the council, Larkin, introduced me to a couple of them, and they creeped me out, she says with a shrug. You know Larkin? Kyson asks her. Yes, she does, and that is what I need to speak with you both about. Because I just stole his son, Damien says behind me. Kyson straightens at his words, and I look at Tandy's son in her arms, knowing this is going to cause issues, yet I am still stuck on the hunters working with the council, and clearly, that is where Kyson's thoughts are as well. You said the hunters work with the council. Kyson asks Tandy. She nods her head and shrugs. Yeah, I have seen them a few times. Larkin and Crux seem pretty buddy with them. They hold meetings at the brothel. They all wear patches and call themselves the rebels. Her brows furrow as if she is thinking hard, trying to remember some detail. Mr. Crux holds the meetings. He has worked with them for years, and they have meetings yearly for some blood ceremony or some crap. They always drinking each other's blood from a cup, and they call me diseased since I am rogue. They sitting around drinking blood as if they think they are bloodsuckers, she says with a swift shake of her head. Did you say blood? I ask, a little shocked by her words. Why would the hunter be drinking blood? Tandy nods. Yep, like clockwork. Every February, the first day of the month is the annual meeting. They talk and spout changes within the council. Donning their stupid insignia about how Crux will take over once the royals are dead, she says with a shrug as if we should know this already. Turning my head, I look up at Kyson, confused, but I have a feeling they aren't drinking each other's blood, but Kyson's. By the look on his face, he has drawn the same conclusion. Dustin has some documents you will want to see, too. We got Alpha Brock and Dean. They have been trafficking rogues for years, Damien says before turning to look at Gannon, who walks over to escort Abby and Tandy inside the castle. I want to go with them, but now I have more pressing matters that I refuse to be left out of, and for once, Kaisen lets me join him, grabbing my hand and leading us back inside toward his office. Even so, as Damien scrambles up the 2 measly stairs, he hisses, grasping his side, and Kaisen reaches out to steady him as he is clearly in pain. "I'm fine," shot me. Liam got most out, but I still have a bullet lodged in my shoulder, but it still kills, Damien groans. "Why didn't you let Liam dig it out?" he asks, and Damien glares at him in response. "No way is that fool coming near me with a knife while I am awake. It was bad enough he had his knife-digging ways with me while I was unconscious. I am not going to watch him get his jollies off while carving me up." Damien groans again as Liam flies past, gripping his shoulder and causing Damien to growl as his back arches in pain. He is just upset I tried out his mate before him, or maybe he is upset he didn't get a piece of the Liam sausage. Liam taunts, and my eyes widen. Damien swings at him. Kaisen steps in his path and absorbs the brunt of what Damien hurls at him and narrowly misses Liam. "Liam, go!" Kaisen orders, and Liam quickly saunters off, chuckling to himself as he does so. "Permission to kill," Damien growls. "Permission denied. Come on, let's get you cleaned up, and I will deal with Liam later," Kaisen says, helping haul Damien toward the office. "Azzy, are you coming with us, or are you going to see your friend?" Kaisen asks over his shoulder. I rush ahead and open the office door. "I'm coming with you," I answer, and he nods, assisting Damien inside. Azalea, the gravity of our predicament hangs heavy in the air, casting a shadow over our every move. Damien has committed a crime, snatching the child of a council elder, and now we are left to grapple with the consequences. "Larkin will come searching for his son," Damien remarks. "Tandy mentioned that he visits every weekend. Unless news of our actions has already spread. I will handle Larkin. From the information I've gathered, it seems he isn't involved in this scheme. Crux, on the other hand, is deeply entrenched. But curiously, I couldn't find any trace of Larkin's name in any of the documents. Yet despite that, the council now had some answering to do. What were these secret meetings held for? And now, it was painfully evident that the council had some connection to the missing children and women that continue to be discovered. Kaisen has more than enough reason to initiate a thorough investigation into the council elders themselves. So, if the council is involved in trafficking rogues alongside Alpha Brock, what does that have to do with the hunters? Damien ponders aloud, genuine confusion etching across his face. The notion that the council would share the king's blood with those responsible for hunting their own kind seems absurd. "I don't know," Kaisen replies, his brow furrowing in frustration. "It defies all logic. The very purpose of the council is to unite us against the hunters, to ensure the relationships between us and the packs remain strong and protected. Tandy told me they killed her daughter when she tried to run. Alpha Brock killed his own daughter and drowned her in front of Tandy. I want to go over the rogue children later to see if I can match any of the children to her daughter," Damien tells us. Kaisen nods to him, and I feel my heart break for Tandy. The mere thought of witnessing such a horrifying act sends shivers down my spine. "So, you think that is how they kept the rogues they trafficked in line? They used their children. But how does that explain the women we have found? I ask, and my brows furrow, remembering all the trafficked rogue women Kaisen had on his computer. Probably didn't come quietly, so they killed them, Damien offers, wiping a hand down his face. I listen to them discuss everything and Ganon comes to join them along with Liam, who Damien seems to get along with for the most part. Yet I notice Ganon remains between them both as they go over everything they know. Yet Tandy's words kept replaying in my head. Talking about how Crux would take over once the royals are dead. Crux technically has Landeena blood. Hearing a knock on the door, I glance around to see Kaisen get up and answer it. When he opens the door, I see Dustin standing there, completely still in the door frame. I release you from my command, I say before waving my hand at him to come in, still lost in my troubled thoughts of Tandy's words. Had he not crushed me in his hug, I would not have recognized I even released him yet. Thank God. Do you have any idea how annoying it is not being able to touch you? Dustin growls as he crashes on top of me. I let out a breath and hug him back when Kaisen clears his throat. Gay or not, get off my mate. Kaisen growls, wiggling his fingers at me to come to him. I roll my eyes, feeling his jealousy burn hot through the bond. Dustin chuckles but climbs off me, where I am pinned beneath him on the armchair. He kisses my forehead but lets me stand, and I wander over to Kaisen, who is seated at his desk. He swivels in his chair before pulling me on his lap. Dustin moves to Liam's side, and both have their heads bowed down. They go over the documents Dustin had with him that he gave to Ganon earlier. You've been quiet, Kaisen murmurs next to my ear. I have been stuck in my mind on one thing Tandy said, but there was something that didn't make sense. The only part of the entire thing, and that is Claire, Kaisen's sister. What are you thinking? He purrs, tucking me closer to him as I stare at the kingdoms on the map. More importantly, my parents' kingdom. I want to go home, I tell him, and everyone in the room falls silent to look at me. You are home, Kaisen growls as worry bleeds into the bond, but I shake my head. Something is pulling me back to where it started, as if it would somehow make sense if I did. The answer is at home. I know we are missing something, I tell him. There is nothing there for you anymore, Azalea. You're wrong. My family's history is there. My history is there, I tell him, turning on his lap to look at him. It's out of the question. Do you have any idea how much work goes into rebuilding a kingdom? Getting the security and everything sorted? I can't leave here, Azalea, he snaps, clearly not wanting to debate this. I don't mean to live there, Kaisen. But the answers are there. We are missing something. So much isn't adding up. Crux's involvement doesn't make sense. Yes, and as Damien and I were discussing earlier, we will go to the council and present our case. At the very least, we need to make sure Tandy's son is kept with her and Brock's pack is dismantled. At least then, we can find out what Crux's involvement with the hunters is. There has to be a reason, or Tandy is wrong, and they were newer council members. The council was built to protect the werewolf and Lycan way of life. They are bound to the pact they swore to, Kaisen explains. When did you take over the council? I ask. After your parents were killed. The council went to the next in-line kingdom, or the next kingdom of reigning power, but see, that is where I am struggling to keep up. If the council is bound to their holder, why would Marissa kill Claire? She worked for the hunters, or supposedly did. Azalea, the emotion coursing through the bond tells me Kyson is convinced it's nothing but a coincidence, his mind rejecting the notion that the woman who raised me could be innocent. He needs to pin the blame on her, but after everything, I'm uncertain. Doubt lingers like a fog in my mind, obscuring the truth. I need something, a piece of the puzzle, a key to unlock my memory of that night. Fragments and flashes flicker in my mind's eye. I see Marissa, her figure adorned in the hunter's uniform, the insignia on her chest. But why do I sense that she didn't call the hunters in? How does this all connect to the missing rogue women and children? So many questions remain unanswered or shrouded in doubt. The threads of Esther and Trey's story intertwine with Tandy's, creating a web of intrigue and confusion. As they discuss what to do next, my eyes meet Trey's, a flicker of understanding passing between us. His gaze shifts back to the box of documents he's rummaging through, as if searching for a hidden truth he feels too. How did you know I'm alive? My question hangs in the air, drawing everyone's attention like a magnet. The sire bond. I still feel it. I was sired to you when you were born. It wasn't until years later, when it went dormant, that I truly believed you were dead. Like everyone else, the bond is always there, but I've learned to shut it out, or it would have driven me insane, Trey answers. The weight of his words settles upon us all before fading into the background. Yet, for some reason, they sit oddly with me. What if that is the link to the dead children and rogue women? The thought escapes my lips before I realize it, causing everyone to stop once more. Kyson leans forward from where we sit together, his lips grazing my shoulder. What are you talking about? His question echoes the curiosity burning in the eyes of the others, while Trey seems lost in the depths of his thoughts. When did the children start going missing and turning up dead? My words hang heavy in the air. After your parents' murders, Kyson and Damien respond simultaneously, their voices overlapping as they respond simultaneously. Do you have a list of the approximate ages of those children? Dustin clears his throat at my next question. The archives hold lists of those found and locations, but not all of them were identified, he admits. And the rogue women? When did they start getting killed? Sporadically. Sometimes entire rogue camps are found dead, Gannon adds, prompting me to bite my lip in thought. We didn't really see a pattern to it. What are you thinking? Kyson's voice rumbles from behind me as I turn on his lap, facing him directly. A pattern. My response is met with skepticism, doubt etched into the lines on their faces. There is no pattern. If it were a serial killer, there would be a pattern, but there isn't. No preference for type or ages, nothing. The only link is they were rogue and spanned half the countryside, Damien counters, his words laced with frustration and confusion. That's because the hunters aren't killing them just to kill them, I retort, my voice growing stronger as conviction takes hold. Trey gasps beside me, his eyes widening with realization. They're hunting you. They know you're alive. His revelation sends him rushing out the door before anyone can stop him. Kyson leans back heavily in his chair as silence descends once more, the weight of the truth sinking into our bones. I know I'm onto something. If that's true, they would have had to know you exist. Which I suppose Marissa could have told them, but what she just had a sudden change of heart and couldn't go through with it. Kaisen questions. Damien scoffs dismissively at Kaisen's words. Unless she was never part of it, I counter, my words tinged with desperation. Kaisen growls behind me, the anger simmering just beneath the surface. How can he not see what I'm seeing? Just hear me out. What if she didn't have anything to do with it? If what Esther says is true, then Marissa was sired to me. She wouldn't let them kill me. So if she were part of it, why wouldn't she just hand me over to the hunters or tell the hunters that I am here? Why would she run with me? I can feel doubt swirling around them as I pose these questions. Okay, say it's true. Why do you remember her wearing the hunter's uniform that night? And why would she kill my sister? And who else could have been their inside person? Kaisen's voice is sharp with frustration, his words a shield against the unsettling truth. I know I'm right, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. What if she didn't kill Claire? I know you want to believe it was my mother, but why would she wait years, working here and not just help the hunters get inside the castle grounds again? Because she's working her way up the ladder, that's why, he snaps, his voice echoing with anger and disbelief. Or maybe you don't want to face the fact that there was a mole among your people. I don't believe she killed Claire. I think she's been framed. I snap back. And what purpose does framing her serve? If she's innocent, why would she come to my kingdom if not to kill us too? He retorts, standing up so abruptly that I have to catch myself on his desk to avoid slipping off his lap. You're wrong, he declares before storming out of his office, his footsteps echoing in the empty corridor. Damien growls and clicks his tongue before following him, their departure leaving a void in the room. But nothing I say seems to make him see reason. He needs a villain, and my mother, or the woman who raised me, fits the bill perfectly. He doesn't want to acknowledge any fault within his own kingdom. He is too caught up in finding it in mine. I know I'm right. I need to go home. I need to remember, I breathe. Azalea, he won't let you leave here, Ganon warns. Good thing it isn't up to him then. He can join me or not, but either way, I'm going home, I assure him. For what? You can't just leave, Ganon protests. The kingdom remains as it was left, untouched. We need answers, and the only way to get them is by starting from scratch, I explain, my voice steady and resolute. Ganon clutches at his hair anxiously, his face edged with conflicting emotions. And if you're wrong? We've been investigating this since the First Kingdom fell. The First Kingdom, Azalea. We would have found proof by now. We know the hunters are involved, we know Marissa was their leader. No, you think you know, I correct him gently as we both exit together, stepping into the unknown. And what reason did she have for keeping me alive? They don't want to see any fault in their investigations, but they are ruled by fear and anger that has been simmering for years. As for me, being an outsider gives me a different perspective, a fresh pair of eyes unclouded by preconceived notions. If only they would listen. I knew Marissa, and one thing I'm certain of is that she loved me as if I was her own. I have no idea why she ran from Trey and the Landeena guard, but I know she must have had a reason. All I need now is to get Kaisen to start thinking with his head instead of letting the vendetta he holds against the woman who raised me cloud his judgment. The bond between us throbs with his implosive nature, his frustration and anger threatening to consume us both. As I reach out through our bond, what catches me off guard is the knowing that he is in his old quarters. Azalea, the room is dimly lit, the only light coming from a small window casting a beam on the figure sitting on the floor. He is hunched over with his head in his hands, his fingers gripping tightly on the photograph. Taking a look at the guard that followed, I shake my head, warning them to leave me with him. Closing the door and turning around, I approach him. The room is heavy with the weight of his sorrow, a thick fog that clings to every surface and has left traces of anguish in its wake. His gaze is distant and haunted as he holds the photo, the only connection to the sister he had lost. As I approach, I can feel the intensity of his emotions through our bond, a storm of sadness and anger swirling within him. Yet, all of my own anger dissipates when I look at him, lost in his grief. His eyes meet mine for a fleeting moment before returning to the photo, a reminder of the void in his life since he lost her. His anger had forced him to shift, yet now all I feel through the bond is immense sadness. Soul-crushing pain courses through the bond and inward pent-up rage. As I stop in front of him, his voice hushed, he utters, "This picture was taken a week before she was tragically taken from us." Intrigued, I pause by his side, drawn in by the weight of his emotions. His arms open wide, inviting me to sit on his lap, and I nestle into his comforting embrace. She was going to name her son after our father. They decided on Valor. That was my father's name, Kaisen tells me, and I take the photo from his hands and look at it. You and Claire were close, I state. Kaisen nods slowly, his face hidden against my neck as he breathes in my familiar scent. She was my best friend. And I couldn't save her, he murmurs softly, his words laden with a mix of affection and regret. A pang of empathy courses through me, mirroring the pain that reverberates within him. Recalling the events that unfolded, Kaisen's voice trembles as he continues, "When I returned home that day, Clarice asked about Claire's whereabouts. She mentioned that she hadn't seen her all day, and her quarters were locked. Worried, I used my master key to gain entry, assuming she must be asleep and unaware of our return through Mind Link." His memory hangs heavy in the air, each word laced with a sense of helplessness. "You found her, didn't you?" I ask him, my voice trembling with a mix of dread and curiosity. "Yes. She didn't come down for dinner, so I used the key to get in. I wish I could erase that day from my mind, but no matter how much I try to, I can only remember how I found her," Kaisen says while wrapping his arms around my chest. "She was only a week out from giving birth. I saw her that morning, and she insisted I go. Claire refused to come with me and refused my offer to stay. Said she had something to take care of," Kaisen tells me, and I swallow. The lump in my throat grows larger as he speaks, as if each word carries the weight of the tragedy that unfolded before him. She was still in her pajamas, as if she went back to bed after I left. Her mate was dead beside her, his throat was cut, and a dagger was in his chest. I can almost feel the sharp pang of anguish that grips Kaisen's heart as he recounts the horrifying scene. It's as if he's transported back to that fateful day, reliving every moment that shattered his world. "Claire, I could tell she fought. She had stab wounds on her hands, one of her fingers was sliced off. Yet it was pointless, she ultimately suffered the same fate as her mate. We found copious amounts of wolfsbane and silver in her blood work from the autopsy report. She had needle marks on her neck and thighs. The wolfsbane weakened her. Yet, it was not enough to kill her before valor was cut from her. I believe she gave up after that. She didn't care to fight once she lost him. She never even shifted. It was as if she accepted her death and no longer wanted to live without her son, Kaisen tells me. The room falls silent, the weight of his words hanging heavily in the air. In that moment, I understand the depth of Kaisen's pain and the scars that will forever mark his soul. Kaisen, I should have saved her. Kaisen's voice trembles with regret, his words hanging heavy in the air. I should have been here. I could have saved my nephew, he continues, his voice choked with anguish. Just as I should have saved our daughter. The weight of his words settles upon me, causing my brows to furrow, my heart to ache. But I am always late. Always, too late, Kaisen says, and I stop. Our daughter. I whisper, my voice barely audible as I struggle to comprehend his revelation. The room falls silent, the gravity of his confession enveloping us both. Kaisen's voice breaks through the stillness, his pain palpable. Another person I failed, he murmurs, his voice heavy with self-condemnation. The most important of them all, and I wasn't here. His words pierce through me like a dagger, leaving me breathless and desperate for reassurance. Without hesitation, I reach out and grip his trembling fingers, seeking solace in our shared grief. Kaisen's tears mingle with the anguish in his voice as he continues to speak, revealing a truth that shatters me. No, I was too early, I protest, my voice shaky but refusing to believe he could know the gender. You don't know that. A bitter smile tugs at the corners of his lips as he meets my gaze, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and acceptance. I do know that, Azzy, he whispers, his voice heavy with emotion. I had doc check. With a gentle movement, he reaches into the bedside drawer and retrieves a leather box. Placing it delicately on my lap, he waits for me to open it. My hands tremble as I grasp the box, feeling its weight in my trembling palms. Reluctantly, I lift the lid, afraid of what I might find within. As I peer inside, my breath catches in my throat. A tiny pink teddy bear urn rests within the confines of the box, its delicate form a painful reminder of what should have been. I had her cremated, Kaisen's voice quivers, his words dripping with anguish. I didn't want her little body rotting in a box for the worms to eat. The tears well up in my eyes as I gaze upon the heartbreaking urn no bigger than my palm, that holds the remains of our daughter. In that moment, the weight of our loss crashes over me, threatening to drown me in a sea of sorrow. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.